The man never expected it, just because he stayed up all night playing video games. The next morning, just as he was about to leave for work, he suddenly collapsed and died at his doorstep. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself reincarnated in another world, and he was now the young heir of a noble family, because he retained the memories of his previous life. Jack could read and write by the age of 3. At the same time, Jack discovered something unexpected. He possessed an extremely rare appraisal skill. As long as he focused and stared at someone, he could see that person's ability stats. Take the spearman in front of him, for example. Although his stats seemed average at first glance, his archer stats were actually at 80 level. Yet he chose the weapon he was worst at, the spear. It was a complete waste of his natural talent. So Jack suggested he try using a bow instead. Although the soldier was a bit confused, but after seeing the eager look in Jack's eyes, he couldn't bring himself to say no.
まぐれだ。きっとまぐれだ。おい、ミル、もう一回やってみろ。
Witnessing this scene, everyone gathered around him. Amidst waves of praise, the soldier followed Jack's advice and changed his class to archer. But what puzzled everyone was how Jack had seen through all of this. To avoid revealing his ability, Jack had to lie and say it was just intuition. But what he didn't expect was that by dinner time, the events of the day had already reached his father's ears. Fortunately, his father didn't press too hard. He simply told Jack to keep honing this talent-spotting intuition, because Jack was destined to inherit the family estate and become a lord, and identifying talent was one of the essential skills for that role. But his father had no idea that Jack's talent spotting wasn't based on intuition at all. It was thanks to his cheat-like appraisal skill. Even his father's stats, Jack could easily appraise them. As for the world he had reincarnated into, Jack had already studied a great deal of information and discovered that his future was far from bright. Not only was he living in chaotic times, the empire's government was deeply corrupt. It was obvious that it would eventually lead to war, and when that time came, everything he cherished would be destroyed by war. But if he started using his ability now to recruit talented people and prepare in advance, then in the future war, he might have a better chance at survival. So Jack rushed to the town that very day, activating his appraisal skill on everyone he met, just to find highly gifted individuals. But such people weren't easy to find. He used appraisal for hours without finding a suitable candidate. Even his own eyes started to ache from overusing the skill. But just then, a restaurant across the street shoved a young boy out the door. Seeing the disgusted looks from the people around, Jack immediately deduced that the boy was a foreigner from across the sea. Since most of them were slaves, they were heavily discriminated against here. Seeing how pitiful he looked, Jack kindly handed him a piece of bread. Luoli was suspicious of this sudden kindness, but when he saw Jack ignoring the strange looks from others and still offering him food, Luoli let down his guard. He took the bread and began eating ravenously, but at that moment, Jack's appraisal skill activated on its own. To his surprise, the boy's stats were at a general's level. Not only were his stats unexpectedly high, he had multiple S and A level talents. Most ordinary people were only at D level. Such overwhelming stats would surely make him a future powerhouse. Jack now had only one thought. He had to recruit this boy under his command. So after Luoli left, Jack secretly followed behind him.
Something coming over me and I like it. I need to slow down.
ついてこない方がいい。大人に怒られる。
僕の家臣になってくれませんか？
え？
Luoli, upon hearing this, thought the other party just wanted to play make-believe, until Jack revealed his noble family crest. Only then did Luoli dare to believe the boy was serious, but he knew his own status was unusual, and didn't want to make things difficult for Jack, so he politely declined the invitation. Seeing talent about to slip away, Jack, in desperation, resorted to a food trap.
パンだけじゃ足りないですよね。僕の家、凄腕のシェフがいるので、美味しいご飯お腹いっぱい食べられますよ。ステーキやビーフシチュー、ミートパイにロールパン、あとワインやケーキもありますよ。
That's how Luoli was lured to Jack's home, but the maid only served him a bowl of bean soup. Luoli wasn't surprised by this at all, but what he didn't expect was, Jack not only placed his own meal in front of him, but also firmly told the servant, "This man is my most important retainer." However, when Jack's father learned of this, he rejected Jack's request, but seeing his son's repeated pleas, and recalling the previous archer incident, the father decided to give Luoli a chance, on the condition that Luoli would spar with him in a sword match. If Luoli could touch him within the allotted time, then he would make an exception and let him serve as a foot soldier. On the way to the training ground, Luoli asked Jack why he was going to such lengths to make him a retainer. After all, someone like him, wherever he went, would only face discrimination.
僕にはリーチさんが必要なんです。僕はいずれ、この領地の当主になります。その時、僕の隣で力を貸してほしいんです。
As the countdown began, the father launched an attack on Luoli. At the very moment their swords clashed, Luoli felt an immense pressure. His instincts told him, even if hit by the opponent's wooden sword, he would likely still be injured. And not only was the opponent strong, his speed was astonishingly fast. Luoli was overwhelmed and couldn't fight back. A slight opening led to him being knocked down. With time running out, Luoli looked toward Jack, thinking of how much Jack believed in him. He didn't want to betray that trust.
それでは、遠慮なく行かせていただきます。
リーチさん、表情が変わった。
貴様の剣は見切った。悪くない手だ。
Now that the road has
終わりだ。
come to be, the universe unfolds right in front of me.
かすってたのか。レイブン様に一撃入れたぞあいつ。本当に何者なんだあのマルカ人は。
The father said, Luoli truly had talent and would surely become an outstanding swordsman. He also praised Jack's sharp judgment. He had been worried about his son's future in troubled times, but now it seemed there was no need to worry. As for Luoli, his excellent performance made the soldiers drop their prejudice. It was the first time Luoli had ever been treated this way. After that, besides his duties as a soldier, he even changed into servant's clothes and voluntarily took on the task of caring for Jack's daily needs. Not long after, Luoli did not betray Jack's trust. In just a few months, he had not only advanced in swordsmanship, he was already capable of serving as an instructor, and after asking someone to teach him to read, his intelligence improved greatly. Now, he was the wisest person in the Jack household. It was no exaggeration to call him both scholarly and martial. Those who once looked down on him now admired him deeply, but he was not swayed by this. Instead, he remained true to his original intention, wholeheartedly loyal to Jack, who had recognized his worth, not only often accompanying Jack in reading, but also explaining the current state of the nation to him. The governors of each state had begun ignoring the empire, and were strengthening their armies without permission, as if preparing to face the coming war at any moment. Luoli said that if war truly came, it would actually be a good opportunity, because by performing well in a great war, a lord could be promoted. So before the war arrived, Jack needed to discover as many important talents as possible. Only then could he establish peace in this turbulent era. And after his father learned of this, he hoped Jack would seek talents skilled in magic, because on the unpredictable battlefield, relying solely on physical strength was ultimately limited. Unexpected large-scale magic could often turn the tide of battle in an instant. Luoli strongly agreed with this, so the two immediately rode out on a long journey and arrived at a more prosperous central city. It was said the population here was 50 times that of their territory. It was simply the perfect place to search for talent, but imagination was beautiful. Yet after Jack's appraisal, he was still disappointed. Even though there were many people here, finding true talent was clearly not easy. Not a single person's talent met his standards. He couldn't even find a single A-level talent. Then the two came to the town's largest street. A nearby vendor shouted, asking Jack if he wanted to raise a dragon as a pet. This was a genuine dragon egg imported from the northern continent. Hearing this, Jack's eyes lit up, as if he already imagined himself becoming a dragon knight. He eagerly asked the vendor for 3 dragon eggs. However, Luoli suddenly rushed toward the vendor, angrily questioning him. How dare he sell fake goods to his master? Luoli knew very well that trade with the northern continent had stopped since last year. If these were imported, then all these goods were smuggled, and dragon eggs, if not kept in higher temperatures, would not hatch. The patterns on the egg before them were nothing more than those of a giant lizard egg.
あれ様への侮辱、万死に値する。こいつ、やばい。わかりました。買いません。だからやめてください。何も知らなかった僕が悪いんです。
The vendor was almost scared unconscious, but Luoli was also acting to protect Jack, for this one owner who had rescued him from the mire. He could not allow him to suffer any humiliation. Luoli's actions also made Jack realize that he must read more books in the future. If he got tricked again next time, it could be fatal. Soon it was lunchtime. The two bought lots of delicious food at the market. Just as Jack was about to buy some more desserts, a robed person suddenly bumped into him. When Jack came to his senses, he realized the money pouch in his hand had vanished. Seeing this, Luoli quickly picked him up. Then at incredible speed, he chased in the direction of the thief, and when the cloak was pulled off, the two were shocked to discover that the thief was actually a beautiful girl, and right after that, they followed her into a small alley. But what shocked them was, at the end of the alley, 3 thugs had surrounded Anna. One of them stepped forward and punched Anna. Anna immediately fell to the ground. Witnessing this, Jack immediately shouted to stop them, but the thugs were disdainful. They raised their fists and charged at Jack.
汚い手でアルス様に触れるな。
Realizing they couldn't win, the 3 thugs tried to slip away. Jack did not stop them. He was about to check on Anna's injuries, but the next second, his appraisal ability revealed Anna's astonishing potential. She was only 11 years old, yet possessed extraordinary leadership, and her martial strength value reached 116, which was nearly equal to his father's. But that was not the most important thing. The important thing was, her magical aptitude had reached an astonishing S level. Wasn't this exactly the kind of talent he longed to find? So Jack immediately extended a recruitment invitation invitation to her. As soon as he said this, not only was Anna dumbfounded, even Luoli couldn't understand why Jack wanted to recruit a thief. Upon hearing Jack's reason that she possessed extraordinary magical talent, Anna immediately interrupted Jack. It turned out that until now, she had never even used magic, so how could Jack know her talent was good? She thought he was just a privileged noble, and that he was making such an obvious joke. Moreover, as someone from the lower class, she knew that free things were the most costly, so she didn't trust Jack at all. After saying this, she returned the money pouch. Seeing this, Jack temporarily gave up on recruiting her. Instead, he asked who those thugs were. Anna explained they were henchmen of slave traders, because once she stole food from a noble's house, and was caught on the spot. Then the noble sold her to the slave traders. She barely managed to escape, but ran into their henchmen again. The reason everyone wouldn't let her go was probably because they thought she could fetch a good price.
ほら、私顔がいいから。
Though speechless, Jack still wanted to know why she didn't flee to another town. But before Anna could answer, a group of children suddenly ran up. It turned out that the reason Anna hadn't gone to other towns was because she had family here she couldn't abandon. These children in front of her, like her, were homeless orphans. Hearing this, Jack was instantly stunned. He hadn't expected that the tough Anna had such a side. Then he handed back the money pouch again. Faced with such kindness, Anna naturally didn't refuse. She just thought Jack was a strange little brat. Yet little did she know that because of this encounter, made her later become the strongest trump card in Jack's domain. Time quickly passed to evening. Jack was still regretting the day's events. In fact, he hadn't given up on recruiting Anna. He had only wanted to leave her with a good impression. After all, talent was so hard to find. Perhaps one day she might change her mind. And just as he planned to wait until tomorrow to see if there were other talents nearby, noise downstairs caught Jack's attention. When he saw it was the orphans from earlier, he immediately asked them what had happened.
ただいま、さっきの、シャーロットが捕まっちゃった
At this moment, on the other side, the thugs in the stronghold were punching and kicking Anna, but no matter how brutal the beating was, Anna did not shed a single tear, as if her tear glands were naturally blocked. When the thugs saw the money pouch fall from Anna, they thought she had stolen it from somewhere. Suddenly Anna sprang up, snatched the money pouch from the thug's hand and tried to escape, but due to the difference in strength, she was quickly pinned to the ground. The slave trader sneered, "Even if you escape, you'll be caught again. From the moment your parents abandoned you, your life was already ruined." Just as Anna was falling into despair, Jack and Luoli arrived in time. Luoli is the first genius chosen by Jack, with S rank in both strategy and strength. The slave trader's men were completely no match for him. Even when surrounded and beaten by several people, Luoli remained completely calm. In just a short moment, he knocked all the thugs before him to the ground. Seeing the situation turn bad, the slave trader quickly ordered his men to stop, to see if there was some misunderstanding. But when he saw the leader was just a young boy, the trader realized he had overthought it. And when Jack saw the injured Anna, he grew furious, demanding the trader release her. Hearing this, the trader couldn't help but laugh. Although he could tell Jack seemed to be of noble status, Anna, as a slave, was still merchandise, and it was people like them who often bought slaves. Seeing this, Anna couldn't understand. She and Jack had only met once. Why would he help her? Little did she know, from the moment Jack saw her, his heart had been unable to calm down. Why would a young girl have such hollow eyes? Until this moment, he finally found the answer. It was because Anna's ambition value was only one. So-called ambition is everyone's wish for the future, but that wish can sometimes be betrayed or threatened. Even so, it is still the hope toward the future. If a person has no ambition at all,
彼女は未来を諦めているんです。こんな悲しいことありますか？
未来それが奴隷ですよ。奴隷に未来なんてない。当たり前でしょ。
何がおかしいんですか？子供の未来を守るのが大人の役目です。その未来を奪っていながら、どうして笑えるんですか？何になるかは彼女が決めることです。あなたたちじゃない。
Jack's words made Anna recall her childhood. The hardships she had endured since young had made her forget how to cry, because even crying brought nothing. No one would pity her, so to avoid being hurt again, she chose to completely close her heart. Yet for some reason, her tears now flowed uncontrollably. Watching Jack's endless words, the slave trader didn't want to waste more time, and immediately ordered his men to attack again. Seeing the trader had even more subordinates, Anna originally wanted Jack to run away quickly, but to her surprise, Jack wasn't nervous at all, and calmly said to leave everything to Luoli. This scene was clearly seen by the trader's men, seeing Jack treat them with such disregard, just as one of them tried to strike. The next second his body suddenly lifted into the air. Unexpectedly, Luoli had raised him with one hand.
貴様らは何をしたか分かっているのか。アリス様を怒らせた罪。
This didn't make the thugs fearful. Instead, they thought Luoli was boasting. Then a group of them rushed forward together. But unfortunately, no matter how many came, they were still no match for Luoli. Soon he had knocked down all who charged at him, and Luoli merely approached, which made the two thugs nearby too terrified to move. Some even tried to launch a sneak attack on Luoli, but he easily dealt with them all. Seeing this, the trader quickly ordered two men who could use magic to attack. But what they never expected was, Luoli, with only a dagger, cut through their flames. Then with two heavy punches, the two fell unconscious. Seeing all his men defeated, the trader had no choice but to use his trump card. card. The next second, a burly man appeared upstairs. His identity was a former infantry captain of the kingdom's army, who was expelled for his corrupt nature. Eventually the traitor spent a fortune to hire him as his enforcer. However, after Jack used appraisal to observe his attributes, he had no worry that Luoli would lose, because the difference in their talents was like heaven and earth. Sure enough, with just one heavy punch, the burly man was knocked to the ground. This scene completely stunned Anna, and seeing his trump card defeated so easily, the slave trader realized things were bad. So he hurriedly brought up the legality of slavery to argue his case. Jack understood this clearly, so he took out all his belongings, and declared he would buy Anna at a higher price. Although the trader was very displeased, in the face of absolute strength, he had no choice. At this moment Anna was deeply shaken. Luo Li's power, combined with the words Jack had spoken to her before. She had thought her S-rank magical talent was fake, but now it seemed Jack had no reason to lie, and when she heard Jack recruit her again, this time she chose to agree. But before that, she wanted to go to another place. Soon the group arrived at a mountaintop. From here the entire town could be seen. Whenever she looked at this scenery, it felt as though the hateful memories she suffered were healed in that moment, so she often came here to gaze at the view. Jack didn't understand why she told him this, but Anna didn't answer. Instead she asked Jack about his dream. Jack had once said he wanted to build a territory where everyone could live in peace and happiness.